Welcome back my YouTube channel Coin Discovery Old Zone. Today's episode, we're diving into a fascinating piece of South African numismatic history, this coin 5-cent coin from the year 2002. This small yet significant coin holds more than just monetary value. Its design, rarity, and collector appeal have made it a sought-after piece among coin enthusiasts. The 2002 South African 5-cent coin is part of the third decimal coin series introduced after the country's transition to a democratic republic. It was issued by the South African Reserve Bank and minted by the South African Mint. The 5-cent denomination is one of the lower values in circulation, yet its numismatic appeal often surpasses that of higher denominations when it comes to certain mint years. The obverse of the 5-cent coin from 2002 features the South African coat of arms, which was introduced in the year 2000. This updated emblem symbolizes unity and progress in post-apartheid South Africa. Around the top edge of the coin is the country's name, displayed in one of the official languages depending on the coin's variant. There are 11 languages used in South African coinage, so this can vary between coins from the same year. The reverse side is where the charm of the coin lies for many collectors. It features the well-known blue crane, South Africa's national bird, in mid-flight. The bird is captured in a dynamic, graceful pose with wings spread, symbolizing freedom and elegance. Below the bird is the denomination 5C, and the overall artistry reflects the mint's attention to detail and national pride. Now, let's talk about the material. The 2002 5-cent coin is struck in copper-plated steel, giving it a distinctive reddish-brown tone that can darken over time depending on circulation and storage conditions. The coin weighs approximately 2 grams and has a diameter of 18 millimeters. Despite its small size, the coin has an impressive presence due to its design and detail. What truly elevates this coin's status among collectors is the minting anomaly that occurred in 2002. While millions of these coins were minted for general circulation, a very small number were struck with notable errors, such as double strikes, off-center imprints, and planchet defects. These error coins are extremely rare and are the reason why this particular year has garnered so much attention. There are also reports of test strikes and pattern coins from this year that were never intended for public release. These were struck as part of the minting process to check die alignment and metal consistency. In very rare cases, these coins have made their way into the hands of collectors, often through former mint employees or auctions. Among collectors, condition is everything. A 2002 5-cent coin in average circulated condition typically holds modest value, often just slightly above face value. However, if you possess one in uncirculated or mint state condition, its value increases substantially. Coins graded MS65 or higher can be quite valuable due to their scarcity. And now, the value everyone wants to hear about. A verified 2002 South African 5-cent coin featuring a rare minting error, especially one in pristine condition, has reportedly sold for as much as $4 million in private auctions. These coins are considered numismatic treasures due to their rarity, error classification, and historical importance. However, such high-value examples are extremely rare and should be authenticated by professional grading services. Collectors should be cautious, as counterfeits and manipulated coins do exist. If you believe you have a rare version of the 2002 5-cent coin, it is crucial to consult with a certified numismatist or submit the coin to an established grading company like PCGS or NGC for professional evaluation and certification. In terms of legacy, the 2002 5-cent coin serves as more than just currency. It reflects a moment in South Africa's journey as a young democratic nation. Each detail, from the national bird to the new coat of arms, encapsulates the hope and vision of a diverse country united under one flag. For everyday collectors and enthusiasts, even a regular version of this coin is a wonderful addition to any South African coin collection. It represents a mix of artistry, history, and national pride, and serves as a reminder that value is not only found in rarity but also in the story each coin tells. So, whether you've come across this coin in your pocket change, inherited it from family, or found it while metal detecting, take a moment to examine it closely. You never know, You might be holding a coin worth far more than 5 cents. History for this coin: 1990 South African 2 Rand coin. This coin, with its stunning design and deep historical significance, has become one of the most sought-after collectibles. And here's the jaw-dropping part: this seemingly ordinary coin has been valued at a staggering $8 million. But what makes it so rare and valuable? Stay with us till the end as we uncover the secrets behind this extraordinary piece of currency. Historical background: the 2 Rand coin was introduced in South Africa as part of the country's decimal currency system. Before this, South Africa used the pound system, but in 1961, when the nation became a republic, the rand was adopted as the official currency. The 1990 version of the 2 Rand coin holds special importance as it was minted during a transitional period in South African history just before the end of the apartheid era. This coin represents a time of change, making it a historically significant piece. Obverse design: a symbol of power. On the obverse side of the coin, you will find the coat of arms of South Africa. This intricate design features a shield supported by 2 animals, a springbok and a lion, symbolizing strength and resilience. The shield itself is divided into different sections, each representing various aspects of South African heritage and culture. Above the shield, there is a crown-like structure signifying the country's sovereignty. Surrounding this majestic emblem, you'll see the words Suid-Afrika and South Africa written in Afrikaans and English, showing the nation's bilingual heritage. Reverse design: the iconic springbok. The reverse side of this coin features the springbok, one of the most recognizable symbols of South Africa. This graceful antelope is not just a national icon, but also a representation of speed, elegance, and endurance. The springbok has been featured on various South African coins, including the famous Kruger and gold coins. On the right side, you'll see the denomination 2 Rand clearly engraved, signifying its face value. The artist A.L.S. Arthur Sutherland designed this beautiful piece, ensuring that every detail of the springbok is captured perfectly. Metal composition and specifications: the 1990 South Africa 2 Rand coin was minted in nickel-plated steel, making it durable and resistant to corrosion. However, there are some rare silver and gold prototypes that were never released for circulation. These rare versions are what make collectors go crazy over this coin. The specifications are as follows: weight 7g, diameter 24 millimeters, shape slightly rounded square, metal, nickel-plated steel with rare silver and gold variants. Rarity and collector's demand. Now let's talk about what makes this coin a true collector's dream. The 1992 Rand coin is considered rare because very few high-quality specimens exist today. Most of the circulated coins have scratches, wear, or damage, making them less desirable. However, if you happen to own a proof or uncirculated version, you could be holding a fortune. Additionally, special mint-error coins, such as those with misprints, double strikes, or off-center designs, are known to fetch sky-high prices and auctions value. And recent auctions, a shocking revelation. Here comes the most exciting part: the value of this coin. While regular 2 Rand coins may be worth just a few dollars, the ultra-rare versions of the 1992 Rand coin have recently sold for as high as $8 million. Yes, you heard that right. This insane value is due to its historical importance, minted during the crucial transition of South Africa's history. 2 limited surviving pieces in mint condition. The best preserved ones are incredibly rare. 3 collector frenzy. Coin collectors and investors worldwide are paying millions to own a piece of history. How to identify a valuable 2 Rand coin? If you have a 1992 Rand coin, here's how you can check if it's a valuable one. 1. Check the minting errors. Look for double strikes, missing letters, or off-center designs. 2. Examine the metal composition if your coin is silver or gold. It's an ultra-rare prototype. 3. Check its condition. Coins with no scratches, discoloration, or damage are worth the most. 4. Look for proof versions. These coins have a special shiny finish and are highly valuable. Where can you sell this coin if you believe you own a rare 1990 South Africa 2 Rand coin? History: this coin 1 Rand 1988 coin. You won't believe how much this little coin is worth today. If you're a collector or just getting into the world of rare coins, this video is packed with valuable information that you don't want to miss. Make sure to stick around until the end, where we'll reveal its incredible value. Let's get started. Before we talk about the value, let's go back in time to understand the context of this remarkable coin. The 1 Rand coin was first introduced by South Africa in 1961, and by the time 1988 came around, The country was going through a period of political change and economic challenges. In 1988, South Africa was under the policy of apartheid, a system of institutionalized racial segregation. The rand, however, was not just a currency, it was a symbol of the complex political and economic climate of that era. The South African Reserve Bank issued the 1988 1 rand coin as part of its ongoing series to replace the older British sterling coins and establish a national currency. The design on the 1988 coin features the famous Springbok antelope, which has been a consistent symbol on South African currency since the 1940s. The Springbok, which symbolizes the country's natural beauty and wildlife, appears on the reverse side of the coin. Let's take a closer look at the coin's design. On the obverse, you'll find the iconic South Africa inscription, along with the year 1988. The reverse side showcases the Springbok antelope, known for its grace and speed, which has become synonymous with South African pride. Notice how the Springbok is elegantly depicted in mid-leap, symbolizing South Africa's untamed natural beauty. Around the Springbok, you'll also find the inscription, 1 rand, along with the mint mark if you're lucky enough to have one with this rare feature. The edge of the 1988 coin is reeded, which was a common feature in most rand coins of the time. This was done to prevent people from clipping or shaving off small amounts of precious metal, a technique sometimes used by those looking to profit from coinage. Now, let's talk about rarity. Not all 1 rand coins are created equal. The value of any coin is highly dependent on its condition. For collectors, the grade or condition of the coin plays a huge role in determining its worth. If you have a 1 rand 1988 coin that is in mint or near mint condition, it's significantly more valuable. Coins that have been preserved in pristine condition, free from scratches, discoloration, or wear and tear, are highly sought after in the numismatic world. Coins with errors or anomalies, such as misprints or misstrikes, also have a special place in the world of coin collecting. These types of coins, though rare, can fetch astronomical prices at auctions or with private buyers. Now for the exciting part. How much is the 1 rand 1988 worth today? In 1988, the 1 rand coin was simply worth 1 rand. But today, its value has skyrocketed, especially for those in mint or perfect condition. If you're fortunate enough to have one in a pristine, uncirculated state, you might be looking at a value of up to $543 now. Let's break it down. A coin that's been kept in excellent condition can fetch a price of anywhere from $50 to $60,000, depending on the specifics. However, the real jackpot comes with those ultra-rare specimens, the ones with unique flaws or even the limited edition coins that were minted with slight differences. These rarities are what draw the attention of the highest bidders. So, how do you know if your 1 rand 1988 coin is worth a small fortune? First, you'll want to closely examine the coin for wear. If the details on the Springbok are still sharp and distinct, and the surface doesn't show significant signs of use, you might have a winner. Next, consider getting your coin professionally graded. A grading company, such as PCGS or NGC, can assess your coin's condition and give it a certification that will increase its credibility and value on the market. Finally, be aware of the market. Coin values fluctuate depending on demand, the current economy, and the latest auctions. If you have a rare coin, holding on to it might be a good idea if you want to maximize your return in the future. If you're new to coin collecting or you're considering starting your own collection, there's no better time than now. Begin by looking at coins that interest you, whether they are rare, historic, or simply have a design that appeals to you. Coins like the 1 rand 1988 make great starting points. They're part of South African history, the coin 1988 South African 2-cent coin. And trust me, by the end of this video, you'll know exactly why this little coin might just be sitting on a fortune. Let's take a close look at this 1988 2-cent coin. This was part of the final series of South African coins minted before the country underwent significant political and social changes. But what makes this coin so special, and why could it potentially be worth a jaw-dropping $2 million? Well, let's take a journey through its history, its rarity, and its potential value. Before we dive into the specifics of the coin itself, let's first set the stage. The 1988 2-cent coin was minted during a very interesting time in South Africa's history. The country was still under apartheid rule, and this period would end just a few years later in 1994 with Nelson Mandela's release. The coin was issued by the South African Reserve Bank and features a design that reflects the flora of the region. On the obverse side, we see the iconic springbok, antelope, which has been a symbol of South Africa for decades. The reverse features the denomination 2C and an intricate design of a protea, a national flower of South Africa. So, what's the deal with the 1988 2-cent coin? What makes it worth so much? Well, it all comes down to rarity and condition. This coin was minted in much smaller numbers than you might expect, and today, finding one in mint or uncirculated condition is extremely rare. Coin collectors often look for specific traits that can drive up the value of a coin, such as its rarity, demand, and condition. A coin that is well preserved, with no signs of wear, scratches, or damage, is typically worth far more than one in poor condition. Now, how rare is this coin really? Well, there were only about 4.5 million of these coins minted in 1988. But what makes this even more interesting is that a lot of these coins were actually removed from circulation over time. Many of them were damaged or lost, and as a result, very few are still in good condition today. Coins in pristine or near-mint condition, especially those that are uncirculated or graded as MS65 or higher, can fetch astronomical prices at auctions. In fact, a few rare specimens of the 1988 2-cent coin have been known to reach values close to $2 million. Now, let's talk about how you can identify whether your 1988 2-cent coin is valuable. Coin grading is the process of evaluating a coin's condition based on its appearance. There are different systems for grading, but one of the most popular is the Sheldon scale, which rates coins from 1 to 70. To give you an idea, a coin graded MS65 means it's in near-perfect condition basically. A coin that's been preserved so well, it might as well have just been minted yesterday. Coins like that can be worth exponentially more than those with scratches, discoloration, or other imperfections. But here's something really important to know. With the potential for such high value, counterfeit versions of the 1988 2-cent coin have made their way into the market. So, how can you tell the difference between a genuine coin and a fake? One way to tell is by using a magnet. Real South African 2-cent coins are made from a copper-plated steel, which is magnetic. Fakes, however, might be made of other metals that don't have the same magnetic properties. Another important method is using a magnifying glass to inspect the fine details of the coin, looking for signs of wear or differences in the strike. Whether you have a single 1988 2-cent coin or an entire collection, there's a huge potential for valuable finds in your stash. A little research, combined with careful inspection and coin grading, can help you determine whether your coins are just regular change or potentially priceless treasures. So, if you have a 1988 South Africa 2-cent coin, or if you're thinking about starting a collection, remember that it's not just about the coins you have in hand. It's also about knowing the history, rarity, and condition that can influence their value. Before we wrap up, I want to leave you with a quick tip. Always store your rare coins in protective cases, and if you suspect you've got something valuable, don't hesitate to take it to a professional for grading or appraisal. Who knows? That 1988 South African 2-cent coin history. This coin, South African 1988 5-cent coin, was issued as part of South Africa's coin series in the late 1980s. But what makes this particular coin stand out so much? Well, it's not just because of the date. It's a combination of factors like its design, historical significance, and, of course, its rarity. On the obverse side of the coin, we see a portrait of Jan van Riebeeck, who was a key figure in South Africa's colonial history, credited with establishing the first European settlement at the Cape of Good Hope in 1652. This portrait has been a common feature on South African coins for decades. It's a nod to South Africa's deep-rooted history, which collectors appreciate. On the reverse side, we see the iconic protea flower, the national flower of South Africa, and the denomination 5C for 5 cents. The design represents the country's natural beauty and its rich flora, which also adds to the appeal of this coin for collectors. Now, let's take a step back and look at the history behind the 5-cent coin itself. The South African 5-cent coin was first introduced in 1961, replacing the earlier smaller denominations of the pre-1961 South African currency system. In 1988, the country was going through significant political and social changes, which adds another layer of historical significance to this particular coin. In the late 1980s, South Africa was at a crossroads in its history, with the apartheid system still in place, though change was on the horizon. So, when the South African Reserve Bank minted the 1988 5-cent coin, it was not just a piece of currency. It was part of the fabric of a nation in transition. Now, let's talk about the minting of the 1988 5-cent coin. While this coin wasn't initially considered rare or special when it was first produced, its rarity and value have increased over time. The South African Mint produced a significant number of coins in 1988, but there were some interesting variations that began to catch the eyes of collectors. Interestingly, most of the 1988 5-cent coins were minted with a standard finish, but there were a few limited-run coins with specific errors or variations that significantly raised their value. These errors could range from slight misprints on the coin's edge to slight variations in the design elements. And of course, a coin with such a unique history becomes a highly sought-after collectible. Now, let's get to the exciting part, the value. While a typical 1988 5-cent coin is worth just a few cents today, there are certain rare examples of this coin that have sold for incredible prices. One of these coins, with a specific error or rare minting, fetched a whopping $55,230 at auction. How did it get this high? Well, the combination of rarity, historical significance, and demand among collectors drove the price up. When you add a unique feature, like a minting error or a coin that was kept in pristine condition over the years, the value can skyrocket, especially when only a few are known to exist. So, how do you spot a valuable 1988 5-cent coin? The key is to look for imperfections or unique features that make it stand out. Let me walk you through a few things to check for. First, check the edges of the coin for any errors in the minting process. Misalignments, incorrect inscriptions, or unintentional designs can sometimes occur. Next, inspect the coin for any signs of unusual wear. Coins in mint or near mint condition will command a premium. Now that you know how valuable a coin like this can be, what if you're just starting out in the world of coin collecting? Don't worry, I've got you covered. Here are a few tips to help you build your collection and potentially discover coins like this one. And that wraps up today's video on the incredible South African 1988 5-cent coin, worth up to $55,230. Who would have thought that such a small coin could carry such a big value? This coin 1985 10-cent coin. But this isn't just any regular coin. It's a coin with an astonishing story, an incredible value of up to $5 million. Sounds too good to be true? Stick around, because we'll dive into the history, rarity, and unbelievable worth of this tiny piece of history. Before we talk about the 1985 10-cent coin, let's take a quick dive into the rich history of South African currency. South Africa has a long tradition of producing distinctive coins. From the early days of the British colonial period to the establishment of the Republic of South Africa, their currency has always been tied to their heritage and economy. In 1961, the South African government introduced the new coinage system with the introduction of the rand, replacing the British pound. Over the decades, South Africa issued numerous coins, each reflecting the country's political and social climate. The 10-cent coin was part of this series, produced regularly until the early 1990s. Now, let's talk about the 1985 10-cent coin itself. This coin features the iconic springbok antelope, South Africa's national animal, on the reverse side, while the obverse side features the portrait of then-President P.W. Botha. The design is simple yet symbolic, representing the natural beauty and political leadership of the country at the time. Minted in nickel brass, The coin weighs about 2.83 grams and has a diameter of 18.25 millimeters. While this may seem like a regular coin, it's the rarity and certain unique features that elevate its value to extraordinary heights. So, what makes this coin so valuable? Well, in the mid-2000s, numismatists, coin experts, made an extraordinary discovery. A handful of these 1985 10-cent coins were accidentally minted with a rare flaw. These rare variants were struck with a misaligned die, giving them a unique appearance that set them apart from the standard 1985 10-cent coins. The mistake was small but significant. The misalignment caused part of the design to be off-center, which made the coins highly desirable to collectors. Only a few of these error coins were found, and the discovery instantly sent shockwaves through the numismatic community. Now, let's get to the million-dollar question. How did these error coins come to be worth as much as $5 million? Well, the rarity of these coins plays a significant role. With fewer than 10 known specimens in existence, these coins have become some of the most valuable items in the world of numismatics. In fact, in 2017, one of these coins fetched a price of $5 million at a prestigious auction. The fact that so few of these coins exist makes them extremely valuable to collectors, who are willing to pay top dollar to own a piece of this remarkable history. The demand for these rare coins has only grown over the years, as collectors around the world know that owning one of these pieces is akin to holding on to a priceless artifact. The combination of historical significance, rarity, and minting error makes it one of the most exciting coins for collectors. So, how can you spot a 1985 10-cent coin with the misaligned die? Here are a few tips. Look closely at the edges of the design. On a regular 1985 10-cent coin, everything will be centered perfectly. On the error coins, you'll notice that the design is off-center, with some parts of the coin appearing slightly misaligned. Pay attention to the springbok on the reverse side. If the details are more blurred or slightly off position, it could be a sign that you've found the rare variant. Condition is key to the coin's value. Even if the coin has a slight misalignment, if it's in pristine condition, it could still fetch a high price at auction. Make sure to check for wear and tear. The fewer the scratches, the higher the value. If you find one of these in your collection, it might be time to get it appraised. So, what drives the value of these coins so high? Well, rarity is certainly a huge factor. As we mentioned, there are only a handful of these error coins known to exist. But it's not just rarity that makes them valuable. Historical significance, collector demand, and the fascinating story behind the discovery all play a part. Collectors are not just buying coins, they're buying pieces of history that can never be replicated. And in the world of numismatics, that means big money. To wrap up, the 1985 South African 10-cent coin is much more than just a piece of currency. This coin, 1985 South African 50-cent coin, a coin that's not only filled with historical significance, but also an unbelievable value, potentially reaching up to $1 million asterisk. Yes, you heard that right. Stay tuned as we explore everything you need to know about this remarkable piece of history. Let's dive in before we talk about its mind-blowing value. Let's break down the basics of this coin. The 1985 South African 50-cent coin was part of the series that was introduced in 1961, and it was minted as part of the coinage of South Africa during the time of the apartheid regime. Now, the design on this coin is really quite special. The 50-cent coin features the iconic springbok, a symbol of South Africa's wildlife, on its reverse side. This animal is a national symbol of the country and has been featured on various coins and currency for decades. On the obverse side, we have the portrait of Jan van Riebeeck, the Dutch colonial administrator who is widely regarded as the founder of Cape Colony, which is now modern-day South Africa. He is depicted in traditional attire of the 17th century. Now, this coin was produced in a standard cupronickel alloy, which makes it durable and resistant to corrosion. It weighs about 13.3 grams with a diameter of 30 millimeters. So this is quite a hefty coin in your hands, giving it a real sense of value. But why is this coin worth so much today? Let's get into the history behind its incredible worth. In 1985, South Africa was facing significant political and social unrest, largely due to the apartheid system that was still in full effect. The country was also under heavy international sanctions, with many nations imposing trade embargoes and boycotts. During this time, the country's mint continued to produce currency, but certain coins were produced in limited quantities as part of special collections, making them far rarer than others. And that's where our coin enters the story. The 1985 South African 50 cents coin was actually produced in such a limited quantity that it quickly became a highly sought-after collector's item. The standard mintage was much smaller than anticipated, and some believe that many of these coins were melted down due to low demand at the time. However, a handful of them survived, and it wasn't until much later that their true value is recognized. Let's talk about rarity. The value of a coin is often determined by how many of them still exist in good condition. The 1985 South Africa 50 cents coin was initially not regarded as a major collector's item, and only recently, collectors started to realize how rare the coin was due to its limited production and the circumstances surrounding its release. However, a few years ago, a few pristine examples of this coin were discovered in various private collections. Some of these coins were graded at MS 67 or higher, which means they're in mint state with no noticeable wear or marks. This is where the true value comes in. Coins that are in perfect condition, with minimal wear, tend to fetch astronomical prices at auctions. So, why is this coin worth $8 million? Well, the story goes that in a high-profile auction, one of these 1985 South African 50 cents coins was sold for a jaw-dropping $8 million. This particular coin had been kept in a private collection for decades and was carefully preserved, maintaining its immaculate condition. It's important to note that this price is for the finest example of the 1985 50 cents coin. Not every 1985 50 cents is worth that much. Most will fall into a more modest range depending on their condition. Coins in average condition are typically valued around $500 to $1,000, but when you find one in pristine, uncirculated condition, the price tag skyrockets. Let's dive a bit deeper into what makes a coin like this worth so much money. There are several factors that influence a coin's value. First, we have rarity. As we discussed, the 1985 South African 50 cents was minted in smaller quantities, which immediately makes it rarer than many other coins. Next is condition. A coin's condition is graded using a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 being perfect. The better the condition, the higher the value. Thirdly, demand plays a huge role. As collectors become more aware of the rarity of these coins, the demand increases, which further drives up the price. And lastly, the historical significance of this coin makes it even more appealing. With South Africa's history being so unique and tumultuous, collectors want a piece of that history in their hands. So, how can you spot this valuable coin in your collection, or even in your pocket change? Let's go over the key identification features to help you know exactly what to look for. First, look at the year 1985 stamped on the coin. Next, check for the distinctive springbok on the reverse side. If you're able to get a magnifying glass, check the fine details. Any imperfections could lower the value. Also, ensure that the coin weighs 13.3 grams and has a diameter of 30 mm. If you're interested in starting your own coin collection or even making an investment in rare coins, there are a few tips to keep in mind. First, make sure to buy from trusted dealers or auction houses. Second, always store your coins in protective cases to prevent any damage. And third, keep an eye on the market. Prices for rare coins can fluctuate over time. That wraps up today's deep dive into the 1985 South African 50 cents coin. Whether you're a seasoned collector or a newcomer to the world of numismatics, this coin is a fascinating example of how history piece of currency. Coin 1985 South African 20 cents coin. It's not just any coin. This coin is valued at an astounding $1 million, but why is it worth so much? And what makes it so special? Stick around, because we're about to uncover its secrets. Grab your magnifying glass and let's get started. First, let's set the stage. The 20 cents coin was originally introduced in South Africa in 1961, and it has undergone several changes throughout its history. But the 1985 version stands out for several important reasons. Not only is it an essential piece of South Africa's numismatic history, but it also has a unique story that makes it highly coveted by collectors worldwide. This coin features the classic South African emblem on one side, showcasing the coined African springbok, a national symbol of South Africa. On the reverse side, you can see the denomination of 20 cents, accompanied by the date, 1985. The design reflects South Africa's rich cultural heritage and its intricate coinage history. But what truly makes this 1985 version so extraordinary? Well, there's one critical aspect that sets it apart from all others. You may be wondering, what's so special about the 1985 South African 20 cents coin that could make it worth $7 million? To put it simply, scarcity. This particular coin is one of the rarest in the world due to a major mintage error that occurred during its production. Here's where the story gets interesting. The error is often referred to as the 1985 Springbok minting mistake. Due to a production flaw, a limited number of 1,985 coins were minted with a unique flaw that is visible only when you examine the coin under close scrutiny. Notice how, on this specific coin, the Springbok animal's design is slightly off-center, with a peculiar misalignment of the details. This error makes the coin incredibly rare and increases its value exponentially. Because only a small batch of these coins were made, and many were either lost or destroyed, this coin is considered a holy grail for numismatists. The value of these coins skyrocketed in the 2000s when collectors began to recognize the mistake, and some have fetched up to $7 million at auction. Okay, now that we know why this coin is so valuable, let's talk about how you can identify it. Here are the key features to look out for when determining if you have one of these rare $7 million coins. First, examine the Springbok stance. On the error coins, the animal's position is slightly off, giving it a distorted or slightly tilted look compared to standard issues. Also, check for any misalignment in the minting process. This could be in the date or denomination. The most crucial part is the off-center design of the Springbok. You won't see it on every coin, but if you look closely, it's like a fingerprint for these rare coins. It's important to have a magnifying glass or a jeweler's loupe, as these flaws are very small and not always visible to the naked eye. But when you spot them, it can feel like finding a hidden treasure. Now, let's take a quick dive into the history of South African coinage, so you can appreciate just how remarkable this 1985 coin is within the broader context of the country's monetary system. South Africa's coinage began in 1961, when it became a republic and moved away from British currency. The introduction of the Springbok design for the 20-cent coin was a part of this transition. Over the years, South Africa has produced several designs for coins, reflecting both the nation's economic changes and the artistic evolution of its minting process. The 1985 coin marked a period of political change in South Africa, with the country transitioning into the 1980s amidst global scrutiny. The Springbok design, though symbolic of national pride, also became emblematic of an era of major social and economic shifts. Let's talk about some of the auction records. The rare 1985 20 cents coin has sold at auction for millions, but the most expensive one was sold at Sotheby's in 2015, where it fetched an incredible $7 million. This price is absolutely unparalleled for a coin of this denomination. The auction houses that deal in high-end numismatics, such as Sotheby's and Christie's, have seen many of these rare coins pass through their doors. The intense bidding wars among collectors from around the world only add to the allure of these coins. One thing is for sure, the 1985 South African 20 cents coin is truly a treasure, not only because of its rarity but because it's tied to South Africa's history, which makes it a unique collector's piece. Before we wrap up, let's talk about how to determine the value of your own coins if you think you might have one of these rare 1985 Springbok coins in your collection. First, have your coin professionally appraised *** by a numismatist or a trusted coin dealer. They'll look for the distinctive flaws we talked about earlier and determine its condition. A coin's grade can significantly impact its price. The better the condition, the higher the value. So, there you have it. The mystery and allure behind the 1985 South African 20 cents coin that could be worth $7 million piece of currency is coin 1986. One center South African coin, but why is this coin worth so much? Stick around as we break it all down and explain how this humble coin became a collector's dream. Let's start with some history. The South African 1 cent coin was part of the country's currency system, introduced in 1961 after South Africa became a republic. The coin's design was simple yet elegant, featuring the image of a protea flower, a national symbol of South Africa, on the reverse side. This flower is a symbol of resilience and beauty, and it's fitting that it graces this small but significant coin. Fast forward to 1986, and the 1-cent coin was still circulating, but something remarkable happened that year. The mintage of the 1986 1-cent coin was extremely limited. Only a few were ever made, and even fewer survived in pristine condition. So, what makes the 1986 version so special? Well, there was a significant error in production that year, but we'll get into that shortly. In 1986, South Africa's mints produced a batch of 1-cent coins, but something went wrong. This error was caused by an issue during the minting process, and it led to an extremely rare variety of this coin. Here's the thing. Most of the 1986 1-cent coins are pretty standard, and they aren't worth much. But some feature a die error that makes them highly sought after by collectors. These rare coins were never officially released into circulation, but a few managed to slip through the cracks. These error coins have a unique design flaw that makes them stand out. It could be a misstruck coin, where the reverse image is slightly off-center, or perhaps there's an unusual feature in the design itself. It's the rarity and the uniqueness of these features that elevate the coin's value. Now, let's talk about why this coin is worth so much. The 1986 South African 1-cent coin has a very low mintage, and even fewer are in mint condition. The error variety, which is what collectors are hunting for, is incredibly rare. These rare coins have been sold at auction for tens of thousands of dollars, with one coin recently fetching a jaw-dropping $55,500. Why is this coin so valuable? Well, rarity plays a huge role. When you combine the fact that only a handful of these coins exist with the demand from collectors, you get a perfect storm of value. But that's not all. The 1986 1-cent coin is a part of South African numismatic history, and owning one of these coins means holding a piece of the country's rich heritage. It's not just about the value in dollars. It's about owning a rare artifact from a time long past. So, if you're lucky enough to find a 1986 1-cent coin in your collection or while metal detecting, how do you know if it's worth the big bucks? Here are a few tips on identifying the rare version of the 1986 1-cent coin. 1. Examine the details. Look closely at the protea flower design. Any misstrikes or errors in the design are key indicators. 2. Check the weight. The normal weight for a 1986 1-cent coin is around 1.8 grams. Any significant difference could be a sign of a rare error. 3. Look for the off-center strike. A die error can cause the coin to be misstruck, giving it a distorted design. 4. Condition is crucial. Coins in mint state or uncirculated condition fetch a much higher value. If you have a coin with very little wear, you could be looking at a potential fortune. Make sure you keep your coins in good condition, preferably in a protective holder or capsule, to avoid any damage. The better the condition, the higher the potential value. Let's say you have a rare 1986 1-cent coin, or you're looking to add one to your collection. How do you go about selling or buying one of these coins? First, I recommend getting your coin professionally graded. A company like NGC, Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, or PCGS, Professional Coin Grading Service, can evaluate your coin and assign it a grade based on its condition. Once graded, you can sell it through a reputable auction house, a rare coin dealer, or even through online platforms like eBay. But be aware of counterfeit coins, and always work with trusted sources to ensure you're getting the best deal. So, there you have it. The 1986 South African 1-cent coin. A rare and valuable piece of numismatic history. Piece of currency is coin 1985 South African 5-cent coin. This coin, a piece of history, is not only fascinating but also holds a jaw-dropping value of $2.5 million. Stick around to learn why this little coin can fetch such an incredible amount, and what makes it one of the rarest and most sought after in the world of numismatics. Before we delve into the astounding value of this coin, let's take a moment to understand its historical significance. The 5-cent coin was part of South Africa's currency system during the late 20th century. Introduced in 1961 as part of a series of coins to replace the South African pound with the South African rand, the 5-cent coin was designed to be a small, everyday denomination that citizens used for daily transactions. In 1985, South Africa was going through significant political and social changes. The country was under the apartheid regime, and many international sanctions were being placed on South Africa due to its policies. This makes the 1985 coin particularly interesting, as it symbolizes a turbulent period in South African history. Let's now look at the design of the 1985 South African 5-cent coin. On the obverse, we find a portrait of the first president of the Republic of South Africa, Charles Robert Swart, with the words South Africa inscribed around the rim. But what makes the reverse side so interesting is the iconic design of a protea flower. The protea is South Africa's national flower, symbolizing beauty, strength, and resilience. The simplicity of this design hides a great deal of significance and artistry, contributing to the overall appeal of the coin. Now, we get to the million-dollar question. Why is this 1985 South African 5-cent coin worth $2.5 million? There are a few key reasons behind its astronomical value. First, we must consider the rarity of the coin. In 1985, the South African Mint produced a limited number of these coins. However, a rare minting error occurred during production. Some coins were struck with an incorrect design, resulting in a small batch of 5-cent coins with an error that made them highly unique. Coin collectors and numismatists eagerly seek out these error coins, and a flawless example in perfect condition can command incredibly high prices. Another factor contributing to the value is the historical context. As we mentioned, 1985 was a year of significant political unrest in South Africa. Coins from this era, especially those with unique features, are highly prized by collectors who want to own a piece of history. Lastly, the coin's value has soared due to a small number of these error coins being discovered in pristine condition. Finding a 1985 South African 5-cent coin in perfect or near-perfect condition is incredibly rare, and this pristine condition has driven up its value. Over the years, this coin has made its way through various coin auctions and private sales. In recent years, its price has skyrocketed as demand from collectors continues to grow. But how did this coin go from being a simple 5-cent piece to a multi-million-dollar collectible? The coin first gained attention in the mid-2000s when it was spotted in an auction catalog. With a bidding frenzy that caught the attention of numismatists around the world, the 1985 5-cent coin eventually sold for an astonishing price. It's been through several high-profile auctions, where its value only continues to rise. For those of you thinking of adding one of these rare coins to your collection, it's important to know how to identify an authentic 1985 South African 5-cent coin. Many counterfeit versions exist, so you must know what to look for. First, examine the weight and dimensions of the coin. Authentic 5-cent coins from 1985 are made from a copper-nickel alloy, so they should have a specific weight and feel. Be sure to measure the coin's diameter and thickness as well. Second, pay close attention to the quality of the design. The engraving on genuine coins is sharp, and the details on the protea flower should be clear and well-defined. If you notice any irregularities in the design, you may be dealing with a fake. There you have it, the incredible story behind the 1985 South African 5-cent coin and why it's worth an astounding $2.5 million. From its unique historical context to its rare minting error and perfect condition, this coin truly represents the excitement and intrigue of coin collecting piece of currency. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, share and subscribe. Coin Discovery Old Zone. See you next video.